Hey, it's Gazbot. I'm testing out Apowersoft free video recording software for desktop stuff. I tried a few others, but a lot of them seem to be for recording video games or go-to-meeting type stuff, and had various problems with resolution or dropping frame rates or whatever. I'm just doodling right now. I'm not really doing anything specific. This is just a test to see if it works. So far, it's been working out pretty well. I had to fiddle with the audio a bit because I kept trying to use the microphone on my computer as opposed to the one on my headset, but I think I got that squared away now. I got the volume all set and everything. And yeah. So the other thing is I have a dual screen setup. I have a Cintiq, which I'm drawing on currently, and then a regular monitor, flat screen in front of me. Flat screen, like anyone's using CRT. But anyway, it kept recording both and squishing them together. And so what I did was I had to disable one and only use the Cintiq for the duration of the recording, and that seemed to fix it, do full screen. There is an option to sort of select the screen area, which I thought I could use and have both enabled, but I can't. So you won't be able to watch YouTube videos. You'll have to like just listen to music off of iTunes or whatever you use for that. And yeah, so like I said, this is just a test. I'm doing a little goober guy here. I might futz around with him a bit. Now he kind of looks like the guy from Borderlands, doesn't he? So then I don't want that because I've never played that game and I don't really know anything about it. Not that I couldn't draw it anyway, but whatever. What I'll do instead is give him some big old gobblers. And now he looks like some kind of weird sci-fi. Yeah, I'll give him the same eyes though. But then I'll give him a thing like this. I'm a weird sci-fi gobbler. Oh, don't come near me or I'll gob you. And he's got buckles. Those aren't buckles. Those are dobers. Yeah. I amuse me with words. But like I said, this is potentially an endorsement for this thing because, like I said, I've tried a few others. I originally tried when I did the. If you look, I have like a really long, like 20-minute to sped up of a full page of a comic I did for Kid Switch. That's like 20 minutes long, but it took me like 20 hours, and that was very good. That was I want to say Camtasia. I'm kind of forget how it's pronounced, but it's like $300 for PC anyway. I think for Mac it's only 100, which I don't understand that unfairness. But regardless, it was very good. But I did not want to continue to pay that money, and so I've been looking around for a few others. I saw this one mentioned on a Kevin Cross video. Kevin Cross is an artist, illustrator, comic guy, freelancer guy, band guy he's done some podcasts that I listen to, and now he's a YouTube guy. You can look up Kevin Cross on YouTube. There are two. There's one that's him, the illustrator, and then there's one who's a guy who's into stomach sounds, which is kind of a weird, unfortunate mix-up that could happen if you're looking for some art talk and then you're hearing gurgling. Or hey, maybe you like both. I mean, I'm not judging. If you're into stomach gurgling, good for you. You get that and a drawing. So whatever. And this is I'm not even thinking while I'm doing this, which sometimes could result in something cool, and other times it's just a big old nothing. Uh, those were gonna be like kind of a super robot type, like Mazinger Z Scrander type wings, but now it sort of looks almost more like a Mothra monarch capey thing. So now he's a butterfly man. Yeah, he's a butterfly man. And if this is a real drawing, which it's not. Oh, also I shouldn't have been drawn on the background. But whatever. And now I'm gonna make another one for a background, put that under it, and I'll fill in white so that I actually have a background. And then I'll take this down to 50, and then I'll do one more layer on top of it. And maybe I'll just clean up the face a little bit, because heads and faces are things I like drawing the best because they're the easiest and most fun. I'll pick black, but I'll put my opacity at 50%. And then we'll go, hey, what's up? Here's some spikers. And maybe we'll make him more angry on his eye bombs. And even though I thought it was like a helmet, we're going to give him expression line anyway, because maybe it's his face, or maybe it's a magic space helmet that can show emotion, or maybe it's just molded into like a raw, so everyone knows that he's coming and he's not going to be looking to negotiate for a good price on tobacco. He's more just going to take all your dogs and force them into slave labor while you have to watch reruns of America's Got Talent. Alright, so making mouth. Wow, I am just talking like a butt today, so please forgive that. Alright, I ended up okay, whatever. I was gonna make that more like a overbite. I ended up making an underbite. Again, this is I guess this is the equivalent of play for artists. I consider this kind of stuff not super productive typically. Not that I have to always be working for a client, but even if I'm working for myself, I like to have a game plan of this is what I'm trying to draw, and or be working on, let me practice some anatomy or shading or whatever, things like that. Um, and this is sort of just, hey, what's coming out? And usually what comes out is what interests me, but also what is easy. And my hand and my mind take the path of least resistance, which is why I'm drawing a space monster, because there's kind of no right or wrong, and I like monsters, and I'm drawing a face, because I draw faces a lot. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with this. But I find it's an indulgence, which is, I guess, what some people would argue is what art is in general. But I don't know. I try to be more productive most of the time. But I guess you can consider this as my warm up sketch in the morning. As I said in a couple of the other, this is like my fourth video I've ever done. So if you watch some of the other ones, I've probably repeated myself, but I'm just sort of figuring out what I even want to say or do. I'm no expert. You will see me make lots of basic mistakes and possibly do some cool stuff by accident in between there. I am a professional artist, so obviously my skills are serviceable and I get paid to do it and make a living or whatever, but there's a lot of personal dissatisfaction. And I know there are a lot of gaps in my knowledge and my, even if not my knowledge, and my ability to execute those things. So I struggle with wanting to make an interesting video, maybe give tips where I can, but also not come off as a know-it-all or better than or seeming to think I'm better than I am. I'm going to go ahead and go down to a 9, make another level. I'm going to take that, put it down to 25, and then I'm going to raise this up to 75%. I'm just kind of building layers. Sort of how I paint, and I use that term loosely because I don't really paint at all. Oops. Let alone online. On digital rather. Well, I guess I paint more digital than anywhere else, but I've never been much of a painter, even in art school. I was okay at watercolor. That was about it. Never had the patience for it. Okay. You know what? I think I should have gone smaller with my brush, so I'm going to go down to 5. And maybe I'll just put a couple more details and then be done, because I don't want this video to take forever. Really, it's just supposed to be a demo of how this software works, but I couldn't think of a way to do that without doing some drawings. And I haven't really started my work day yet, so I didn't want to work on anything serious, especially also because I have to concentrate on what I'm saying. Why is that so... Oh, okay, I put that up to 75% opacity, but then I accidentally drew that on my 25% layer. But I like that because it's sort of a background bug thing anyway. It shouldn't be too defined. So then what I'll do is I'll just leave that, but maybe go in and put a couple little highlights. And that actually helps it look more textured. I don't... when I do my quote-unquote painty style, which this isn't really, but I tend to make a lot of layers, which I don't know if like real digital painters do. I feel like they more paint together on the same layer and let the colors influence each other that way and just let the chips fall where they may. But I tend to make lots of layers so that if I'm unhappy with one, I don't lose all my other work, and I can also bring the opacity up or down or adjust colors in just one layer. And it's more work, but I feel safer and more confident doing it. I guess if I could do it the other way and not stress about it as much, I guess it would be more efficient. But and again, I don't consider myself a painter at all. I just sometimes do it because of the subject matter. Like when I'm doing old school Godzilla type kaijus and stuff, I've done some that way, which you would call painting, quote unquote. But excuse me. So I put a little extra wire, or maybe electricity. A lot of times I draw stuff and it's like people can interpret it different ways. Like I'm thinking that's like a unkempt wire that wasn't really buttoned down real well, but it could also easily be energy depending on who's looking at it. I'll put a couple horn lines and darken this up. The top lid should be darker almost always. And put some more furrows, bottom of that. A couple more lines here. I'm going to go ahead and go down to a 3. And then put a couple little sickly hairs. Like, maybe that's just how his species is, or maybe this guy is kind of on the verge of death, or just getting older, or whatever. Well, I guess getting older is being on the verge of death. Hey, we're all going to die, everybody. And, right, put some lip lines, a couple more crummy hairs down there. Some teeth groovers, so they don't look like big, smooth, polished pieces. outline that a little bit more. Maybe go here, put some detail around the eye. A little thin shine line up top here. And you know what, let's go ahead and make that, well, it still could be a wire or electricity, but there's certainly something emanating out of the end. What's this monster? I don't know, but he's got things emanating out of his earbuds. We are done for. Let's not hear talk like that, Joey. We didn't get through the Cold War to... Well, I guess that kind of talk would probably be during or before the Cold War. I'm a historian. Give him a little blocks. And then, just because I'm feeling super spicy, I'm going to put in one color layer. And we'll give him... Here's what we'll do. We'll give him... Yeah, red first. I'll go back up to 300. I'll put my opacity at... I'll put my opacity at 75. That's fine. And then I'm going to overshoot that. Then I'll go ahead and grab some orange. Go down to 100. Do that. And then I'll go ahead and grab some yellow. Go down to 45 and do that. And then I'll grab some almost white yellow and I'll go down to 27. I'm just kind of grabbing these values and numbers capriciously, like sort of, I know vaguely what I'm looking for, but I'm not worrying about it too much because it's not a real finished drawing thing. This is like sort of the white, hot, intense eye final. And I could leave it like that, or I could then do other things like grab maybe one of these mid-grades. Maybe I want the energy on his jobers to be the same. And then just put a little middle highlight there. And you could also go ahead and make your eraser 50% opacity and then soften those edges so they don't look like such perfect circles. Unless you want it to be a perfect circle. Maybe you like that band. It's the name of a band. And I think I'm also going to do that here so that his eyes are glowing but not covering so much space. And then if I really want, I can make another layer, box. And let's say he's got sort of a sickly gray-green skin. 65. Nope, too big. 32, 35. Why is that not... Did I select something? Must have made a white layer somewhere. Anyway. Oh, that's weird. I guess the red was strong enough. See, I was thinking I could put some color underneath here, right? And then the red would just sort of highlight over it. But when I erased, I didn't erase enough, I guess, to let the color show through is enough. So I'll erase that a little bit more. And now the colors should show through enough. No. I have this at 75% too. This is actually not a good way to color if you're doing comics or like if you want to flat and then put shading on. This is not the best way. I'm using a brush at a low opacity. You want to use a pencil at full opacity to get a hard edge. But I like to do this because it kind of gives it a more organic feel when I'm sketching or if I'm doing like my quote-unquote painting. And then you can see you get a little bit of extra value just when I go over it again. Makes it a little darker. Actually, I should probably be at 50%, but you know, whatever. Then I'll go ahead and do this for slightly darker. And go down a brush size, and go down to 50% opacity, and then put in some actual shading, or shadows I should say, whatever, shading shadows. And then now I'll go up to a higher and do some highlights. And I guess I should color his gums, huh? We'll just go for pink, pinkish, like almost like a normal earth animal, human, whatever. Which, because it's the normal color, actually ends up looking weirder than if I gave him like purple or brown or something. And it also stands out in stark contrast to the other stuff going on in the picture. But I still will put in a little bit of shadow. I'm kind of doing some of this on the same layer now because I'm just sort of trying to wrap this up so the video is not a million minutes long. or worse, hours. I want to keep those teeth staying white, but I want to give it a hint of color so it pops a little bit less. I'll go ahead do that, but just on one side. And the same thing here. I'll give this a little bit of hue, and then I'll go ahead and I don't want it to be too much like his color, so I'll go more into blue. There we go. I'll maybe put a little bit of that down here too, there, and then I'll go ahead and grab white for a highlight. Put this up to 100. Put this down to 5 for just some extreme highlights on the teeth, a little bit on the gums. Maybe see a little bit of drool on his lip or something. Actually, let me take that drool off the lip. It's a bit too much. Put some in the eye, a little bit up here. I'll make another layer for lip drool. We'll give him some standard alien green slime, but I'll go back to the brush. But I will put, that's too big, but I will leave it at 100% opacity, and then I'll lower it in the layer settings, I think. Yeah, he's like, blah, 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 I'm foaming at the clobberts. See, they call mouths clobberts on Zeppelark 12. Zeppelark 12. It's not 12, it's 12. It's a difficult language to learn. I don't recommend it unless you have to. So then I'll take that and put it at 50. And now I'll go in with the white highlight at 100%. Put that back down. And now I get nice little shines. This really needs more layers and more time, but like I said, I'm going to stop in a second. So we'll just leave it like that. So that is, and well, one other thing you could do when I do these kind of things is like, oh, well, maybe I'll just, actually, I can just ditch this whole layer. I'm going to ditch this whole layer. Delete. I could figure out, and actually, you know what, this is another thing, like, oh, I don't feel like doing a real drawing. Well, you know what, now this is the real drawing. I was always going to just do a monster head. What do you mean? Image, edit, image crop. And you keep all your layers. You can actually crop that a little bit more, I think, but yeah. Image crop. And then I'll just grab a weird brush for a background. Actually, this is a brush I made that I tend to overuse. I need a good color that isn't white. So he is a lot of green and gray and yellow. Let's try if I do blue. It might be a bit much, but we'll go and put some of these. And then I'll make this smaller and make this in here. I wish I was smaller. Wish I was a baller. A little bit taller. I'm also a rapper. I mean, I'm the best rapper. That's not just a rapper. I guess I should be more clear. And this is some sort of spacey sprocket. Some more of that. So maybe it's like a little blue highlight going through a sea of black. But I'm going to take this whole thing and make it 50. And then make another layer under it. And go back to my original size and do some black. Oh my god. Actually, let me undo one. That. You know what? I like the way that white looks, so I'm gonna go ahead and that's too much. That's too much. I'll go down. I'm getting too stupid now. Then I'm also gonna take this and make it 50%. And then I need to erase in his mouth. I need to erase in his mouth. Mother, have you erased in your mouth lately? It's important. Also here, actually, kind of like that darkness, I'm going to use it and just erase part of it for a nice little highlight. And last thing I'll do, because I made that background a little bit more than I meant to, I will go ahead and pop him out with just a hair over towards the yellow side of white. Zero. And make a layer behind everything else. I'm a popping out like a Moser. A Moser. And He's a glowing Moza. I should probably, if I want it to look finished, like a finished intentional piece of art, I should probably crop it like this so you don't see all the garbage on the bottom. So image crop. Yeah, and I want to keep going, but I'll do okay. I'll do one other thing. I should have just done a real drawing for this test, but whatever. Edit stroke black. Let's make that 20. Look, now it's like a family portrait. And then on that extra edge, I'm gonna pick something that's not quite as black. There. Now he's done. Like it's like his headshot. Hey, thanks for stopping by the diner there, Zoralackle. I know that's not the name I gave him before. Would you like to sign your headshot for our wall? Sure. To Steve. You the best. Z. All right. Thanks, guys.